Back to my channel, and today we'll see how to do the API integration in SwiftUI. So for that I am planning to take one example, having the list view, some title, subtitle and some image. Clicking on this, it will navigate to the detail view having the URL, so web view inside that. So let's start coding for that. So we need to create some groups. So let's see, starting with that. So this will be our model group, and inside that we will post two models, and second should be it should be for news feed models. Fine. So we need to start with the basic thing, that is our API response classes. So we can say first I am planning to put news API response. So for guys, I am using codable and decodable. Hope you guys understand these concepts. If not, you can watch my previous sessions and you will come to know what and why we are using this. So where so one is status, which I am about to get, and that should be a type of string, and next is articles, but we have not created that class. Okay, let me create it now here. So that is an array of articles. So what should be the name of that class? News list item. We are using which protocol? That is identifiable and codable. Okay, so we can create the array of this class, optional, and yeah, after this, what the things which we are planning to put in this one is that variables is UUID, that is always we are using for that, showing to the unique identifier for in the list view. Okay, and next should be the, let me see, the response, author, title, URL to image, URL. These are I'm planning to use. Fine. Where title, which is string, and and title is there, and where author, we can take author is type of, where author string and should be optional, where URL to image, that should be also a string, and that should also be optional, where URL string. Okay, so let's create the coding keys. And actually guys, we have a tool for creating the coding key also. You can see in the it's very important. It's like will not waste the time to typing all the things again. So we have some extensions also for that. So I will show you in the next tutorials. Author, title, and URL to image. What is this coding keys? Not keys, actually coding key. Okay, so your URL to image. Okay, and last but not the least, URL. Looks fine. So we have created the item list, and fine, right? Now we have created the response and the list items also. So let's see. Now we are good to create the newsfeed class. So we can say name should be newsfeed, we can give, which is using the protocol observable object, and we should take random access selection. Fine. So let's start with the basic part. So what I will do, I will create a variable which holds an array of news list item. So published where news. Can you see the news list item? Oh, sorry, we need to create this news list items is equal to news list items, right? And yeah, looks fine. News list items we have created. Okay, now we need the start index, okay, which is news dot index. But no, I need something else. So what I will do, I will create the closure. Okay, start index should be news item list dot start index. I will use this, right? Similarly, we can say where and index, okay, and inside that news list items dot and index command pass. Fine. And for actually we are planning to do the lazy loading also, like it's like pagination or lazy loading, it's a better way, so we can use that where load status equal to, we need to create the enumerations for that. So let me create first the load status also we can create, or before that also I can show you guys. Let me complete this. I will comment this first. First we will create the, because we are doing the lazy loading also, so let me complete here itself enums, and we can say load status and there should be ready, which says next page, should be type of int. And one more case we can use, so that is loading, okay, that is the page, type of same int. And we can say parse errors, and if it is done, then we can say case done. Looks fine. So I think these are the four. Anything else we don't need, I don't think so. We need more status and something like that. So basic are these status only. So now, although we have created the status, so we can use that now. So load status should be ready with the next page 1. Fine. So we have created the status and all the basic. Okay, now let's start with the connection. So we can say where URL base is equal to that connection. So let me copy from there. So my URL will be something like this. Page number I'm not giving as of now in this. Fine. So we can initialize this. Now inside this we will call the functions which we want to call at the launch. So for that we need to create some function with the connection. So I will create one function called load more articles, and inside that what should be the argument, that will be the current item, means what is the current, if it is second page, third page, or which item it is. So we can say current item is type of news list items. Fine. And initially it should be nil. Okay, so we have created the load more articles. Now we can use this method for initialization. Fine, right? So now we have created the function. So before that, actually we need to create one more function which says function should load more data, because if it is a last page then we don't have the data, right? So we need to check these conditions. So we can say current item, that is a type of news, list items equal to nil, okay, which return the bool variable, because we need to check that condition. Okay, so in that case we can use the early exit concept. So we can say guard let current item is equal to current item else return true. Fine, so that looks good. Then for iteration for an in news items dot count minus 4 to till -1. Okay, so we can say news item dot count -1. Fine. If and I think, yeah, then if it is last cell. Okay, so if n is greater than equal to 0 and two conditions we need to check, and current dot uuid is equal to news list item, and object of index should be n dot uuid is true, then we need to return true. Else, or we can go out of the box and we can say false, return that. So in that bool variable it will check if it is the last index and all these conditions, although we are using these kind of condition in the previous examples also. So hope you understood like what is our index and how to check these conditions. So it's very easy. And now what is the basic thing we'll check now? Load more. If should load more data with a current item, and we can pass the current item from here, then return, otherwise proceed. So we can use guard case let if ready okay, if we can use this, yeah, ready page is equal to load status, and load status the page should be we need to pass nothing in that, else return. Okay, so if it is ready then we need to load this. Fine, looks fine. Okay, so page 1 okay, we will use that. Wait, let me complete this, then we can use. Before that only is start crying. Okay, so now if it is ready, then load status. Okay, fine, looks fine. So let's proceed. Now everything looks fine, so let status is equal to loading. Okay, and page should be the page. Okay, and URL string we need to pass URL string is equal to we can say a string we need to pass, right? So URL base and with the page number, that will be page count, right? So it's connected, and now we need to convert the URL as a string. So we say let URL is equal to URL, and we need to define that as a string. URL string, fine. Okay, what happened to this guy? Was expected separated? No, and we need to put only one braces, that's it, no separator required. Okay, so what now? Although we can convert it, so let's create the task now. It's easy. So we can say URL session, that we already know, right? URL session dot where is my share dot data task. Okay, data task with the URL, and URL should be URL which we have, and we can use the completion header as well for this. Now either we can pass the data here itself, or we can pass the data here itself, or we can create our own function which will be helpful for parsing the data. So I would suggest create your function which will be helpful for parsing the data and give it the result direct to you, and it's your call actually, so you can do whatever you want to do. So I can create the method called parse articles from response, right? Okay, so we need to pass the data which we are getting as a type of data, and response also required. Response will be type of URL response. Fine. And last but not least, we need one error also if it is there, which is a type of error. Fine. And yeah, return type not required in this, although it's a simple one. So we can say now the data which we'll get, first we need to check if it is not nil. So in that case we will say, okay, same early exit concept is the best one. Optional binding also we can use, but yeah, this is the best one. Error is equal to nil, then else we can print the error as well, right? So we can say error colon pass the error value as that optional, so we need to unwrap here itself, and load status should be we created, that should be pass error. You forgot, right? It's there actually down, we created, if you can see that we have created, right, status. So we need to use this, guys. You can do coding whatever you want to do, but it should be neat and clean, so other person will come, so he can look into the code, so you find what is this going on. So we can say guard. Now we need to check the data. Let data equal to data is fine, else print, and we can say no data found, and we can say similarly load status should be dot parse error because it's the same, and we can return that. Sorry, yeah, actually keyboard is not supporting too much. Okay, return. Now let's start the basic coding part now. Okay, but we need to pass the data as well, right? So for that purpose I think we require one more method. We can say the data also we need to pass, right? So we can create one function says parse. See, we are doing totally loosely coupled code actually. You can do in a one function itself, but let me create some loosely coupled code so you guys can understand clearly what exactly we are trying to do. So articles from data, and inside this only one argument we are planning to send, that is a data, which is type of data, and what it will return, it should return the news list items array. So news list items array. Fine. So let's start with that. So where although we created the response of model, so it is response type of news API response which we created in the beginning, and we need to do response is equal to try JSON decoder, as we know these things, right? Before only JSON decoder. Okay, and we need to decode this and news in which model? News API response dot self, and data should be data. See, Swift given this decoder and encoder concept is very cool, and you guys can use you can also use this. Other than object mapper is also fine, but I think you guys should, nowadays we are using this, so it's very pretty. So yeah, I suggest use this only. Error parsing the JSON we can say, and we can pass the error itself. So error is error, fine, and it should be clear. So if it is not fine, so we can return empty array. Okay, so empty array, we need to return this. So what are the issue, what it is saying? Try no, okay, that is, so we have not completed. Let me complete this first. Okay, so now if looks fine, then we are getting the OK status. So we can check if response dot status is not equal to OK, because I know OK will come in that scenario. So we can say print status is not OK, fine, and we can pass similarly the status also. It should be response dot status, and we can remove the extra tokens from here. Fine. So here also, if it is not fine, so what we can do, we can pass the return the empty array, because we don't have, right, and everything is fine. Then what we can do, return return response dot articles, else empty array. Yeah, fine. So it looks fine. So what we did, we created articles, and very easy, fine. So let me continue with that. Now we have created the articles array. So what we'll do, news articles is equal to parse articles from data, that is a data, nothing else. Now on the main thread, we are planning to append the data, and yeah, let's see, we can do that as well. I think yeah, we can do dispatch queue dot main dot async. Fine. Now my motto is to create an array we created, right? I think we have created the array, right? Yeah, news list items array, and we need to append that with a what we can say, news articles, right? News articles we need to append. But actually news articles array we have created, I am not sure about that. News we created that, right? So we can say contents of contents of no, it's not there actually. So what we can do, we need to add the contents of, actually what is we are planning to do, we need to add news lit item dot append actually, and we can say contents. Why it is not coming actually? Contents of, and it should be news articles. I think it won't take due to it is not news articles. It's not news, actually new articles. I given the spelling also wrong. 1 second, so let me see if it will take. Oh, it's took. Actually Xcode is not supporting at all nowadays. It's buggy for me. It's like 11.3 I think. Yeah, so let me see the version also, why it is. Okay, 12 is the best option nowadays, you can say. Fine. So looks fine till now, and we are good to go. Proceed after that. So what it will do, now I appended the data, so I will check if news, and I will change the spelling of this actually. What is new? Nothing, news. Okay, so sorry guys, my typing is little bit slow, and that's why. If news article dot count is equal to 0, we can say self dot load status is equal to done. Fine. Else what we can do, we can check guard case let dot loading if it is with the page is equal to self dot loading. Else what if we can pass the fatal error, and we can pass one string also, loading status is in a bad state, we can say. Fine. And if it is looks fine, then we can say self dot load status is equal to ready for next page, that is page plus 1. Looks fine. Okay, what happened to this guy? Okay, space should not be there. What happened to this guy now? What loading? Oh, sorry, load status, guys. Status here. So looks fine, and we have created the parsing article data, and I think looks fine to me. And yeah, good. So at least we have created the news model feed. So let's proceed further for completion of the load more articles. So what we'll do now, we have created all the parsers. So in that we will pass article from response, and response is passing from the data. So yeah, we need to use parse from the response, and data should be response. I think we don't need these things because anyway we are not getting called, so it's fine if we are not, so we can change this, we can use this, and yeah, okay, two times it came, sorry guys, so it's there. Fine. So we have done, and then we can say task dot resume. Fine. So it's completed now, and see some build issues are coming or not. So as expected, it should come without issues. How can we fix that? So yeah, okay, so we can say forcefully on that. That's it, right? So looks good. So now we have done our basic part of API connections. Now our main motto is to create the view, right? You got it, right? So what we can do, we can create a new file of type of SwiftUI, which is for containing the view. We can say news feed view. It looks fine. So now we have created our file, and fine. So now we will create the basic coding, which already we know what about the list view and all these things. So we can say news feed. Actually, have we created the news feed also, because we need to status news feed. Actually we have not created news feed models. News feed we have not created here, also is not there. So now we have done this much. Okay, one second, bind direction. What is this issue? Does not confirm the bind direction.